What is up, guys? We're here with the Suicide Squad cast Arrow edition, and not gonna lie to you, I really enjoyed this week's episode. A lot of stuff went on. I think I enjoyed this week's episode more for the flashbacks than the actual overall episode. Um, really solid this week. I really thought that they did a great job. There's really a lot of story being built. I'm very interested. I'm kind of getting that feeling, and I mentioned this before, um, that I'm kind of getting the feeling, from season one and season two, where the flashbacks kind of felt like their own separate show, their own separate episode. Um, I'm kind of getting that feeling. I'm really interested to see where this goes, how that these flashbacks tie in to the overall main storyline. Really enjoyed this week's episode. We see Oliver, furthering, infiltrating this division, this military type division. Um, you know, this drug ring going on where they're, what was it, mixing cocaine and heroin.
Yep.
Uh, and it's really interesting to see where he goes. I mean, he kind of goes to a place where he's torturing people, um, but at the same time he's not trying to kill them. He wants to protect them and save them. He's infiltrating this operation, but doesn't want to hurt these people because deep down, he's a good, genuine person who doesn't want to see anybody hurt. Really interesting. We see new sides of him, more development, and then you get the main storyline. And this is what I like about the flashbacks is the fact that I already feel like I got a fulfilled episode almost out of these flashbacks, and then we also have the main storyline, and we get Oliver and Diggle kind of coming terms with uh, I guess it's more Diggle's issue with Oliver. Oliver didn't really have an issue with Diggle, and I was kind of annoyed by the whole thing to begin with because it really didn't make sense. I'm glad they're coming to peace with it. They're kind of ironing that out. They're kind of moving on from that. Um, but what did you guys think?
I thought it was really well done. Like they're just really improving as they go along, washing away I guess their sins of season three.
I think it's a good way to put it. Their sins of season three. They're being cleansed. They're being forgiven. Um, Last week you had said that last week's episode pretty much helped you to forgive them or forget about season three. You're kind of over season three already, and I was kind of like, I'm not there yet. I think this episode is starting to inch me along. I'm starting to kind of get to that place where I can say, all right, I can forgive them for the nonsense they did in season three because they're kind of, I think they're aware of it. They know it wasn't as good, and they're kind of moving on. Uh, I want to point out really quickly though, and I was just thinking about this. I was reading someone say that people are actually pushing um, for, and I'm so against this, it's not even funny, but they're pushing, and I actually thought about this while she was talking, but pushing for calling Felicity Oracle, giving her that title. And I am so beyond not all right with that. Um,
No,
because it's like
That's
they are
stupid.
already so closely resembling Batman with all they're doing, which
no.
I'm not all right with that either to a point. I think they overdo it with being too dark. They're trying so hard to kind of mimic that style. And it's not Batman. This is Green Arrow. Let it be what it is. Stop trying to mimic everything you're seeing with, it's not Batman. And I kind of, when reading that, I kind of, when I saw her at her computer and they're standing around her and they're watching her do her thing, I thought of that. I'm like, wow, she kind of does. She is pretty much exactly like Oracle. She does the same thing. Um, and then when I heard fans are trying to, push for her to be called Oracle, I'm just like, no, 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 no. That would be awful. That should not happen. Um, so I mean, I'm gonna assume you guys feel the same way.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like no, Barbara Gordon is Oracle. I was okay with like Chloe Sullivan in Smallville being um Watchtower, but that's Watchtower.
I know why I found it so funny. I'm sorry.
It's
Um,
kind of they're, cause I can picture them. I know why that was funny because for me, like I could picture them like in a board meeting, like Oracle, like, oh, we can't call her Oracle. And they're like Watchtower.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then they'll call Felicity Quiver.
Quiver, interesting.
There you go. End the fucking story.
Boom. I
But
like
not
it.
Oracle.
Not
Definite,
Oracle. I mean, she
definitely not
she has a
Oracle.
similar role, and I can see where people are associating, but it's not the same person. And I'm just, yeah, not into that at all.
If they
Um,
call her Oracle, I'm flipping a table. I don't care who.
yeah, I'm gonna
It
be.
could be some grandma playing bingo, but I'm flipping a damn table.
Yeah, I'm definitely. Yeah, I'm with you there. Um, so we see Felicity almost taking on this new role of she's kind of, you know, I don't know. She's kind of taking somewhat of a, I guess it kind of felt like a leadership role,
It did.
where she's standing up and telling Diggle and telling Oliver that they need to stop with the nonsense and deal with their problems. And we were talking before we started recording, and I feel like for me personally, I was kind of on the fence. Part of me was like, all right, cool, that this needs to happen. Someone needs to stand up. But another part of me was kind of like, it just didn't feel like her character. It felt so out of character for Felicity.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, it was such a big development all at once. It just didn't feel like her. It didn't feel right. Um, I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I just wasn't one of those people. I just wasn't feeling it. It didn't feel real. And the fact that she yelled at Oliver didn't make sense to me because, you know, he really didn't do anything wrong. You
Yeah,
know,
he's
like
been being the more mature one in this. Like, okay, if you feel I messed up, then I messed up, and I apologize for that. I'm owning this. It's time for you to get past it, and for Felicity to yell that they need to grow up. I'm like, yo, Oliver's already being grown in this situation, and that just like really irritated me. So I'm completely with you on that.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I'm kind of like for me, I don't know. It just like Oliver, yeah, Diggle is just like the woman who he kidnapped forgave him, and you can't. Like, come on, that's bullshit. Like, it's ridiculous. I think that's the point of their writing. They want you to be annoyed with Diggle a little bit or annoyed with the situation,
I
but
don't
it's
know.
to the
Maybe
point
it
where
goes
it's
back to, Diggle's soldier mentality of like, you're supposed to have your partner's back out there, and if, you can't trust your partner, then who can you trust?
But still, that
but
relates back to
Yeah,
when
I know.
but
I
also there's also that mentality, the soldier mentality where, sometimes you have to do things for the betterment of your team,
yep.
and sometimes you can't always explain yourself. You have to just do things, and he should understand that. And like I was saying, before we went on the air and we were talking about this, like Roz is the kind of guy where you can't really get much over with him, so it has to be believable as possible. And no, any normal person would understand that. Yeah, it sucked that that had to happen, but it was a shitty circumstance. I mean, Oliver, and just the fact, I just feel like they shit on the guy way too much. Like every little thing, like Felicity from last season, like yelling at him, for he was gonna kill himself with Roz in the plane, and she's like yelling at him, and I'm like, are you shitting me? Like he fucking was trying to save the world. He was willing to sacrifice himself for you in the world, and you're gonna yell at him? Like that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. So I kind of felt like a similar feeling when she was yelling at him now. It's like, this guy was trying to save the world. Diggle's being a bitch, and and
Oh
like you're
shit.
yelling at
That's the end of the
Oliver.
show. Diggle's being a bitch. End it.
Yep, Diggle's
Get it.
being a bitch. Good night. Uh, and you're gonna yell at Oliver. I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it. But they ended up, fixing their relationship. Um, there was a time I would have taken a bullet for you. Now I'm not so sure. It's like, all right, Diggle, shut the fuck up.
Okay, I'll take the bullets for you, asshole. Fuck you.
Yeah. And then he takes the bullet, the card. You took a bullet for me. No, it was a playing card.
No,
That's the
dude,
same
those
thing.
things. You ever been cut by a fucking playing card, dude?
Well, I've
Shit
never
hurts.
been
That
cut
shit.
by a playing card, and I can imagine it probably stings pretty bad. I can't imagine being cut by a metahuman playing card. What'd you guys think about the introduction of Double Down?
I
Pretty cool.
I'm not too privy on him
I'm
because
kind.
well I don't mean like I think I said that wrong. I'm not too knowledgeable on
Okay.
him,
No, yeah, I know you meant. Okay.
um but I really liked him. I thought the actor played him really well, and he was one of the cooler, I guess, sub villains if you
Yeah,
want to call them that.
it's interesting to me that it really shows that they're definitely trying to break out of the old Arrow and do something new because, when they were first doing the show, it was no metahumans, no superpowers at all. And, now, I think this is one of the first metahumans that's, strictly Arrow metahuman. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, we had Captain Boomerang for a few episodes, and I think there were a couple that crossed over from Flash, but this is the one that's
There was
legitimately,
Death Bolt.
yeah, yep, that's true. But that kind of crossed over in Flash too. This one is like strictly Arrow, and maybe we'll see Double Down in
Yeah,
Flash.
yeah, I'm sure he'll show up on
Yeah,
Flash.
part of the yeah. But I thought he was cool. I liked the character. I liked the guy who played him. You know what I really liked more than anything, to be honest, is the fact that he kind of was a menacing character in and of himself, and he kind of had, he was kind of, when he first came in, he had that air of arrogance. Nobody could stop him. He kind of felt like a tough guy. He came in, he was like a biker. He had card tattoos all over him, and you're like, oh, this guy's pretty awesome. This guy's, going to be a pretty tough guy. But the fact that, you know, how they wrote Damien Dark to
Oh my
almost
god, dude.
like the
Oh,
intimidation, the fact that he killed her off just to intimidate him, and you could see like this guy went from being a complete badass to being almost like a whimpering puppy when he saw that he was like, oh shit, like this
exactly.
is.
I was gonna say that Dark really put him in his place.
I love the writing for Dark too because
It's
like it's
and
not over the top. It's not they don't do it like they don't it's he doesn't even have to do anything really to intimidate people. It's almost so effortless with this
yep.
guy. That makes him so interesting to me. That
Like I
this
wouldn't
guy can
be
be so menacing and scary to these metahumans. I mean, this guy is a metahuman. We've already established that Damien Dark isn't necessarily a metahuman. Oliver knows he's not a metahuman, which tells me Oliver knows who he is because
yep.
Oliver knew quite a bit about the fact, no, he's not a metahuman. I've seen this before, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe somebody like him, maybe someone that Damien Dark works for, or maybe the guy that, or woman that Dark got his powers from. I don't know. But, I mean, the fact that this guy is a metahuman and Dark intimidated the shit out of him. And even at the end of the episode, he's like, Diggle was trying to intimidate him, and he's like, you don't scare me half as bad as he does.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if one of the writers for the show comes up and hands Neil McDonough a script, and I wouldn't be surprised in the least if Neil McDonough was like, "Nah, I got this," because he's so electrifying, and he commands the screen when he gets his screen time, and he's hands down my favorite villain on the show so far. Well, Big Bad, I mean.
I I agree. I agree with the first part. I don't know that I still want to see. Right now, he's one of my favorites. I really, really enjoyed uh, Slade Wilson. I for some reason want to keep saying. I did this the second time in a couple of weeks. I keep wanting to say Wade Wilson. I don't know why. I keep wanting to throw a Deadpool in there. Slade Wilson. I really, I sound like a broken record because I think it's every week I say how much I love Slade Wilson and love that character and Manu Bennett's portrayal of him. Um,
Absolutely. Like,
I,
not
you
to,
know,
I'm
and I
not trying to
still
crap
feel
on
like it's a
him.
very similar type character. I mean, it's different and very unique, which is great because if they just did the same thing, it would be boring. So, I mean, they're both very cerebral. The only difference is, you had a Slade Wilson who was a more he went out and did stuff more himself, where you have Damien Dark who has other people do things for him. And I saw somebody actually complaining about that they were annoyed at the fact that,
They should pull the fucking stick out of their ass. Jesus Christ. I mean, I know we complain about something, but Jesus. Some of these
you,
fucking people in the goddamn comic book community just can never be fucking satisfied. I'm sorry. I know I haven't
I
said
know.
much about the episode, but that's
No,
It's
I
just
agree.
like the wrestling community, man. Nobody's ever
Every
truly happy.
Nobody, it's the world. Nobody's ever happy with anything. I know. I constantly read people complaining constantly about stupid shit. It's like there's some things I understand, like, all right, I get why you're upset, but the majority of it is just you're just complaining to complain, dude. Like nobody
You're
wants to
just
hear your
complaining
crap.
to hear yourself speak.
Exactly. And I mean, people are complaining that he's not. It's like that's not the villain he's supposed to be, and that's what makes him so great is that he doesn't go like he. It's not even that he can't do it. We've established already
I,
that
I
he's
think
more
I
than
think
capable.
what people need to understand is that Damien Dark isn't really an established villain in the comics to begin with.
Exactly.
So what Neil McDonough is doing is really making the character his own.
Exactly. I
Like I
mean, I think in
guarantee
the
you, people are gonna go out and say, you know what? I want to know more about this Damien Dark, and they're
You
gonna
ain't
go
gonna find
buy.
shit. Like Spaceballs. We ain't found shit.
we ain't
Well,
found
no,
shit.
no, I'm saying like Neil
I think he
McDonough
was
is
like
doing such a wonderful job at it.
I
Like they're
think
gonna want to go out and like buy the comics to see just what
well there
Damien
really
Dark
isn't
is.
much on him. He's not really like the character you see in the show is I think he was like a scientist, I believe, working for the Hive. I don't think he was really even a main
I think
character.
from what I read, he's like a technical genius.
Yeah, something like that. He's not what he is, and they really created a brand new character out of this. They took something that wasn't too uh great,
It was
and
very
they
broad.
it was
And
very broad. Exactly, that's a good
Oh, all right.
explanation for it.
I see where you're coming from now.
So
Okay.
it's gonna be interesting, and yeah, and people need to realize, right, that he is not really big in the comics, and that he's doing his own thing, and that's not the type of character he is. I mean, that's what makes him so interesting. The fact that we've already established and we know he can handle himself. He almost in the first episode he nearly kills the Green Arrow within 30 minutes he's already almost killing Arrow, and if Diggle hadn't shot him from the back, and it's not even like he shot him and then he dropped, he shot him and then he dropped and they look back and he's gone, and they're like, all right, so that, you already know this guy's a badass. He doesn't need to do anything to prove it. He's already has. The first episode set the tone for who this guy is.
yep.
So, the fact that it's almost like a bother to him to have to do it himself. So he's kind of like, he has his guys do it for him because he just doesn't want to. Not that he can't. And that's what makes him so interesting is that he's like, yeah, go do it for me. And then when they don't do it right, he kills them. And he does it in a way that's menacing. And I'm really loving this character myself. I agree with you, Mitch. I can't say right now that he's my favorite. I think it's too soon for me because like I said, I still love Slade Wilson. But so far, he's doing a fantastic job. Um, Double
Yep.
Down was
I'm just
cool.
waiting for like what was the scene when Moira, however you pronounce her name, introduces Oliver to Slade.
Oh man,
Like I'm waiting for that type of scene. Just the
Well,
electricity.
I'm sure we'll get that scene when Oliver announces his candidacy for mayor.
yep. It was oh my god, I know exactly what scene you're talking about. I rewatched that scene so many times when I saw it. It was goosebumps every time I watch it. I almost
Yep.
want to after we record, I almost want to go and watch it again because it's so good. Oliver, this is Slade Wilson, and then he stands up and he just shakes his hands, and it's just like, whoa, like shit's about to go down. You're like, oh my god,
Exactly.
it was so well written and so well executed. They need to rewatch that scene and then take that and as the blueprint and be like, this is what we need to do. We need
Yep.
to do things like this, build up to things like this. So I mean, season 1 and season 2 were so well written. If they could take their knowledge and what they want to do with this season and implement the blueprints from season 1 and season 2, they're going to be perfect. Because so far they're already doing a solid job. We have Oliver going to get ready to run for mayor. Um, but how about, I know, Alec, you expressed a lot of disgust for, this part of the episode, the Nanda Parbat with
Oh
Thea,
yeah,
and
it was a mess.
I I agree to a point. I
I
think a
don't.
lot of
It
it was
wasn't a complete
unnecessary.
mess, but like I said before we went on air, there was just some things that could have been executed a whole hell of a lot better.
I agree. I think that I mean, like I was saying, I understand why they're bringing back Sarah. They're having the
I
Legends of
don't care that they're
Tomorrow.
bringing back Sarah. I know why they gotta bring her back. I don't care. It was everything in, but it was just all the shit surrounding it that was just it's oh Jesus Christ.
It just
I'm just
felt
gonna stop.
it
Oh my
felt
head.
for Al yeah for Alec goes off into a tangent and starts throwing stuff. It felt like to me it just felt a lot of it felt very unnecessary. Um, like I like
Yeah, I
some
think I can agree with that. It was just
I agree. I like to some degree. I like the manipulative
manipulative.
manipulative relationship between Merlin and Thea. I like the development of that to a degree.
Yep.
Um, I think he truly. I get the sense from um, John Barrowman that he wants to. He truly is trying to care about her, but in the same sense, he only cares about himself. And he's kind of at that crossroads at every single time he sees her. Like he wants to be there for her, but he can't help but, it's like a habit to, manipulate her. And he's not a good guy. I think anybody who knows anything about Green Arrow knows that he's not a good guy. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that relationship. Obviously, it's not done. Where they go with Malcolm Merlin as Roz and what they do with him in the series. Um, but I agree. I felt like a lot of that was just unnecessary. Um, I think they spent too much time on it, to be honest. Uh, and Nyssa destroying the pit. I don't know. I just felt like there was too much going on in that little. Like I felt like it was two storylines going on. Like I almost felt like two different worlds almost. I know, we talk about that in our Flash podcast, but you can also check out on this YouTube page.
Oh,
If you like, share, and subscribe, you can check it out on our, and you can also find them on our Facebook page too, facebook.com/, the Suicide Squadcast. Links are in the description.
Shameless plugs.
Shameless plug. But it almost felt like two different worlds, and I just felt like they spent way too much time on everything. There was so much that they were trying to do with the Nanda Parbat storyline, and bringing back Sarah and developing Thea and Merlin's relationship, and Laurel being a pain in the ass, and then you have Nyssa, who's also involved, and she's kind of a part of all the storyline. It kind of got to be a bit of a clusterfuck, to be honest.
It did.
And I wasn't a huge fan of it. I mean, I'm not too interested, and I really don't care all that much. The only thing I'm really interested in is Thea's storyline. That's the only thing from that I'm really, truly interested in. I really don't care about Sarah. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, she's back. She's not really the Black Canary, so I don't really give a shit. She can go on Legends of Tomorrow and do her thing, whatever. I don't really care. Laurel, once again, being her father or not listening to anybody and doing whatever the hell she wants, and then getting pissed off at anybody who does anything. I don't really give a shit. Thea, though, with her storyline, I think it's interesting because it's when you think of her character in the comics and where they go with her, it's cool. I mean, I think this is going to give her so much dynamic. How is she going to get away from this? She was brought back to life with the Lazarus Pit. Lazarus Pit. I don't know why I always add a TH at the end. I always do that. I don't know.
Your Mike Tyson's coming out.
My Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna go play with my pigeons. I feel like we had this discussion already. I think we did the Mike Tyson thing in an episode already.
Yep. I'm pretty sure we did.
Deja vu. Anyway, I'm interested to see where they go with it. Like, how are they going to, how are they going to cure Thea? How are they going to, be able to fix that side of her? She has to go on a killing spree, according to Merlin. Is there a cure for it? I mean, he said there was, and he was very convincing, and then he said, nope, I'm just going to send two guys in so that you can kill them, and then I can have... I like that storyline. I'm more interested in that than anything else. Everything else could have just, they could have done away with it. I understand they're bringing Sarah back for Legends of Tomorrow, so I get they had to kind of do it, but it was just kind of, I thought some of it was unnecessary, a little too much at the time. Also, an introduction to Mr. Terrific, even more depth into his character. He's kind of they're kind of billing it as he's part of, the team now in a sense. In a lot of places we're saying, oh, how do you feel about him being part of the team? He's kind of seen the cave, so I don't know if that makes him part of the team just yet. But they utilized him
I
for
think
their
I
thing.
read the actor said in an interview. The actor said in an interview that he's part of the team, but he's not a part of the team. Like
They're
he's
using
a
him.
part of the team through Felicity, and that's how it's worked.
Okay,
I don't. That's what I read.
I I kind of figured that because of the way that they
Search
were
it on the interwebs somewhere, people. I
pretty
can't do all
the
the work
interwebs.
for you.
Well, pretty much the way that they did it when she brought him the card, except now he kind of knows that she works for the Arrow, so she doesn't
Yep.
have to be as secretive about it. But so it's gonna be cool. I think it'll be interesting.
Most
Um,
definitely.
but she was a badass with that. That she was a badass with that machine gun.
She was. That
I
was
thought it
pretty
was
cool.
funny because she was like shooting I liked that scene. I enjoyed that scene. Made me laugh. Thought it was a funny scene. Um, but yeah, overall, I mean, you have the flashbacks. We haven't really even talked about the flashbacks too much. I mean, I mentioned earlier how much I really enjoyed them, and how much I actually preferred them over the main episode. I know Alec mentioned that before we recorded, and I agreed with him.
Yep.
The flashbacks just felt much more solid. They felt much more. They had a better continuity to them. Uh, it just seemed like they had they went from point A to point B seamlessly. They knew where they wanted to start. They knew where they wanted to go, and then they got there.
I think
And
it's because they have like they're borrowing heavily from
yeah,
Green Arrow Year One, which is a great comic. So you
yep.
should go read it as soon as possible.
I agree with that. I was fixing to say the same thing. Yep, I completely agree. I was gonna say it's kind of funny how just stick to the script pretty much. Like
Yeah.
all of these comics are written out for you. I mean, you can come up with your own episode, then you can base them around things and have that way you're not kind of just doing things in the dark. You can kind of no pun intended, even though that's doing things in the dark.
I
Bum bum.
see what you did there.
Unintentional. I should just pretend like it was intentional. I'm just kidding. That pun was completely intentional. Um, but the flashback episodes, I like the dynamic. I like the him. Uh, it almost was reminiscent. I almost felt like the woman played kind of the Oliver Queen role when he first got on the island. That's kind of what it felt like. Like she was kind of him in a way when he was first on the island, and he was kind of I don't want to say Shadow, but he what the hell was his name? I don't remember now. Shadow's dad, pop
Yeah,
same guy.
or whatever.
Yeah, kind of played that role where she was kind of unsure of him. She didn't trust him because she didn't know him and she thought he was there to hurt her. And then he's like, come on, move faster. Why? So you can kill me? And she's like, no, so we can get ahead. And then the mine blew up and she, it's. I'm really curious now to see where they go and if he gets caught. I haven't personally read Year One yet, but I'm definitely I gotta read it. So I'm interested to see where they go with it. And then when I read it, I'm interested to see how closely they follow the
Can I
Year One.
rudely interrupt?
You can rudely interrupt.
Great, because I'm going to anyway.
That's Alec for you.
Well,
But
that's why it's rudely interrupting.
it's not. This isn't directly related to Arrow, but it kind of is. But I don't know how true this is, but I was reading the other day that Connor Hawke, Oliver's son from the comics, is going to end up on Legends of Tomorrow, but it's not going to be Oliver's son. It's just going to be some dude named Connor Hawke, and he's going to be biracial. So yeah, let that sink
Um,
in.
what? I'm so
What?
confused.
Yes,
Maybe he's
they're
from.
making the Connor Hawke character, but he's not going to be Oliver and Sandra's son. It's just some dude named Connor Hawke, and he's going to be a biracial character.
Interesting. Part of me and I don't want to get too political, but I feel like they wanted to just add a biracial character into their show, and they're like, oh, we'll just put this guy in there. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know much about the character from Earth 2, but maybe he's a different.
Let's not talk about fucking different Earth. It's just, you know what?
I don't know.
I
I'm just
don't even
trying
care.
to make sense
You
of
know
it.
whatever.
Right
They'll
now,
do what they want to do.
maybe it'll
It's just a
unfold later
rumor.
on.
Whatever. Fucking.
I don't know. But really, before I forget to talk about this, so Ray Palmer is alive. I think we all kind of knew that, but her getting the
He's
text,
dead. The sign said so.
he's dead. Yep, you're right. He is gone. He ain't ever coming back. But she had that message on her phone. You pointed out, which I actually didn't even notice, that it was the background was blue and it had the red text. Is that what it was?
Yep.
I didn't really notice the color scheme right away, but when you mentioned it, yep, definitely Palmer. And then she was having all the issues with her phone. It was like going kind of screwy.
And
She's like,
they only happened at Palmer text.
yep, she's like, I gotta get that checked. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I think it's going to be interesting. But one last thing I want to talk about before we wrap things up and head home, figuratively. We got a little bit of an Easter egg, I think. I don't know about an Easter egg, but a little bit of a precursor to what's to come, a little bit of a hint. They had briefly mentioned because the Arrow Cave 2.0 got destroyed by Double Down, and they had mentioned, oh man, we're gonna have to find another place, and somebody said Arrow Cave 3.0, and then Oliver kind of chimes in with, got a surprise for you guys, or I got something I've been working on, and you're like, what do we say about secrets? He's like, it's not a secret, it's a surprise. So in my mind, I'm thinking that's just hinting towards, hopefully they call it the quiver. But I'm thinking they're hinting towards that, the new and improved, because we saw set photos before the season started of the new.
I think it was concept art. I don't know if it was set photos. I think it was concept art.
You're right. You're right. Yep, you're absolutely right. It was concept photos. My apologies. Or concept art. It wasn't set photos. But even still, seeing that is telling me that they might do that, and then adding in, I've been working on something, so maybe he's made the quiver, which is much better than Arrow Cave, because what is that one comic? I don't remember what story arc it was, but where he just is like, arrows don't have caves. That doesn't make any sense. And then he's like, maybe we should call it the quiver. So I'm hoping they go with the quiver. Makes so much more sense because, yeah, Arrow Cave makes no sense. And it's just a knockoff of Batman. You know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to copy that, and it's like, it doesn't make sense. So call it the quiver. Hopefully it's much nicer and much more hidden. Have Cisco, have Barry run Cisco down, and have him, like, soup it up and hella security so that metahumans can't find their shit no more.
Would it be wrong to hope that it's like similar to the 60s Batman show with everything labeled on it?
Just stop it. Just stop.
Yeah, Adam West, Burt Ward.
They have they really need to keep shark repellent
Yeah,
on tap.
Burt Ward, who claimed that he could kick Bruce Lee's ass when they were gonna merge for an episode, the Green Hornet and Batman, and then he wasn't on set when Bruce Lee was there. Anybody hear that story? Yeah, Burt Ward, because he took karate once or some shit like that, was like, yeah, I can kick his ass. He was telling all the women on set that he could beat up Bruce Lee, and then like Bruce Lee showed up and Burt Ward was nowhere to be found.
I can kick the guy's ass who was trained by Ip Man. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Good for you. I took karate once. It was attached to a dry cleaner. Good job, Bert. I'm proud of you. But I think that about wraps it up. I think everybody wants to go home. I think everybody has things to do. I don't want to hold him here any longer. So, no, we will. We're going to hold him captive. We're never leaving. No. So we're going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed this episode, and why shouldn't you, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so that you can join us back here weekly for more episodes of Arrow and Flash. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Suicide Squadcast. The link is in the description. Follow us on Twitter. I can't remember the name off the top of my head because I changed it, but it's in the description. Same with Tumblr. Tumblr, we're doing a lot of awesome stuff. The cool thing about if you've watched our Flash episode, then you already know this, but if you're new, the cool thing about our social media uh, endeavors is the fact that they're all, we do share content between the three of them, but at the same time, we do have unique content for each of our social media accounts. So our Twitter is different from our Tumblr and versa. So you're going to get a different experience, by, joining in on the fun, and that's what we want to do here. We're three comic book fans who want to, enjoy and have fun talking about comics with people who also enjoy them. That's the point of the Suicide Squadcast. So join along, follow us. All those links are in the description. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you can join right back here every Sunday at noon. That's the time that we do it. We're doing it a day late because of the fact that our personal lives got in the way, but no big deal. We'll be back here on Sunday with another review. More content is coming. We're going to be doing more things, so it's not going to just be Flash and Arrow. We'll be expanding, adding more things here and there. But for the Suicide Squadcast, I'm Matt. That's Alec. That's Mitch, and we will see you back here same time, same place. Peace.